Primogeniture is the right, by law or custom, of the legitimate, firstborn son to inherit his parents' entire or main estate, in preference to daughters, elder illegitimate sons, younger sons and collateral relatives. The son of a deceased elder brother inherits before a living younger brother by right of substitution for the deceased heir. In the absence of any children, brothers succeed, individually, to the inheritance by seniority of age. Among siblings, sons inherit before daughters. In the absence of male descendants in the male line, there are variations of primogeniture which allocate the inheritance to a daughter or a brother or, in the absence of either, to another collateral relative, in a specified order. The principle has applied in history to inheritance of real property as well as inherited titles and offices, most notably monarchies, continuing until modified or abolished. Variations on primogeniture modify the right of the firstborn son to the entirety of a family's inheritance or, in the West since World War II, eliminate the preference for males over females. Most monarchies in Europe have eliminated male preference in succession. Belgium, Denmark, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden and the United Kingdom. Variations. Absolute primogeniture. Absolute, equal, or lineal primogeniture is a form of primogeniture in which sex does not matter for inheritance. This form of primogeniture was not practiced by any modern monarchy before 1980. However, according to Poumridi, the Basques of the Kingdom of Navarre transmitted title and property to the firstborn, whatever the sex. This inheritance practice was adhered to by the higher nobility and free families alike in the early and high Middle Ages. The Navarrese monarchy, however, was inherited by dynasties from outside of Navarre which followed different succession laws. Eventually only the Basque lower nobility and free families of the Basque country and other regions continued to follow this practice, which persisted as late as the 19th century. An ancient and alternative way in which women managed to rise to power, especially without displacing the direct male line descendants of the first monarchs, is the historical consortium or co-regency between husband and wife or other relatives. The most notable of these are the Egyptian cases of Hatshepsut and Thutmose III, as well as the Ptolemaic dynasty's kings and queens. In 1980, Sweden amended its constitution to adopt royal succession by absolute primogeniture, displacing King Carl XVI Gustaf's infant son, Carl Philip, in favor of his elder daughter, Victoria, in the process. Several other monarchies have since followed suit. The Netherlands in 1983, Norway in 1990, Belgium in 1991, Denmark in 2009, Luxembourg in 2011, the United Kingdom and the other Commonwealth realms in 2015. Monaco, the Netherlands and Norway also deviated from traditional primogeniture in the late 20th or early 21st century by restricting succession to the crown to relatives within a specified degree of kinship to the most recent monarch. Recently, other monarchies have changed or considered changing to absolute primogeniture, with the birth of Infanta Leonor of Spain on 31 October 2005 to the then heir apparent Felipe, Prince of Asturias and Princess Letizia. Spain's Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero reaffirmed the intention of the government of the day to amend the Spanish constitution by introducing absolute primogeniture. Zapatero's proposal was supported by the leader of the main opposition party, the conservative Partido Popular, making its passage likely. However, Zapatero's administration ended before any amendment was drafted, and the succeeding government has not taken up the issue. The prince counseled reformers that there was plenty of time before any constitutional amendment would need to be enacted, as the expectation was to leave him next in line to succeed his father despite his elder sister's continued status as dynasts. Equal primogeniture was expected to first apply to his children. Felipe succeeded to the throne as Felipe VI upon his father's abdication in 2014, by which time he had 2 daughters but no son had been born that would, absent the constitutional change, displace Leonor. In July 2006, the Nepalese government proposed adopting absolute primogeniture, but the monarchy was abolished 28 May 2008. In 2011, the governments of the 16 Commonwealth realms who share the same person as their respective monarch announced the Perth Agreement, a plan to legislate changes to absolute primogeniture. This was implemented when the necessary legislation came into effect on 26 March 2015. In Japan, debates have occurred over whether to adopt absolute primogeniture, as Princess Aiko is the only child of Crown Prince Naruhito. However, the birth of Prince Hisahito, a son of Prince Akishino, has sidelined the debate. In 2006, King Juan Carlos I of Spain issued a decree reforming the succession to noble titles from male preference primogeniture to absolute primogeniture. The order of succession for all noble dignities is determined in accordance with the title of concession and, if there is none, with that traditionally applied in these cases. When the order of succession to the title is not specified in the nobility title creation charter, the following rules apply. Absolute preference is given to the direct descending line over the collateral and ascending line, and, within the same line, the closest degree takes precedence over the more remote and, within the same degree, the elder over the younger. Combined with the principles of firstborn and representation, men and women have an equal right of succession to grandeeship and to titles of nobility in Spain, and no person may be given preference in the normal order of succession for reasons of sex. Agnatic primogeniture. Under agnatic primogeniture, or patrilineal primogeniture, the degree of kinship is determined by tracing shared descent from the nearest common ancestor through male ancestors. Those who share agnatic kinship are termed agnates. Those who share descent from a common ancestor through males and females or through females only are cognates. There were different types of succession based on agnatic primogeniture, all sharing the principle that inheritance is according to seniority of birth among siblings and seniority of lineage among the agnatic kin. Firstly, among the sons of a monarch or head of family, with sons and their male line issue inheriting before brothers and their issue. Male preference primogeniture. Male preference primogeniture accords succession to the throne to a female member of a dynasty if she has no living brothers and no deceased brothers who left surviving legitimate descendants. A dynast's sons and their lines of descent all come before that dynast's daughters and their lines. Older sons and their lines come before younger sons and their lines. Older daughters and their lines come before younger daughters and their lines. This was the most common primogeniture practiced in Western European feudalism, such as the Castilian Cieta Partidis. Male preference primogeniture is currently practiced in succession to the thrones of Monaco, Spain and Thailand. It also was practiced in Portugal and the Empire of Brazil. With respect to hereditary titles, it is usually the rule for Scotland and baronies by writ in the United Kingdom, although baronies by writ go into abeyance when the last male title holder dies, leaving more than one surviving sister or more than one descendant in the legitimate female line of the original title holder. Salic Law. When an agnatic primogeniture system altogether excludes females from inheritance of the family's main possessions, it is known in Europe as application of the Salic Law. By the beginning of the 19th century, only the royal houses of Bourbon and Savoy, among Europe's historic national dynasties, continued to completely bar women from succession. Later, the new monarchies or dynasties of France, Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, and the Balkan realms of Albania, Bulgaria, Montenegro, Romania, and Serbia introduced Salic law. During this era, Spain fought civil wars which pitted the Salic and female line heirs of their dynasties against one another for possession of the crown. A variation on Salic primogeniture allows the sons of women to inherit, but not women themselves. An example being the Francois succession to the throne of Spain from 1947 to 1978. Most British and French titles of nobility descend to the senior male by primogeniture, to the exclusion of females, and agnatic cadets may bear courtesy or subsidiary titles. Semi-Salic Law. See the article on Salic Law for a clearer explanation of the differences between Salic, semi-Salic laws and male preference primogeniture. Another variation on agnatic primogeniture is the so-called semi-Salic law, or agnatic cognatic primogeniture, which allows women to succeed only at the extinction of all the male descendants in the male line. Such were the cases of Bourbon Spain until 1833 and the dominions of Austria-Hungary, as well as most realms within the former Holy Roman Empire, i.e., most German monarchies. This was also the law of Russia under the Pauline Laws of 1797 and of Luxembourg until equal primogeniture was introduced on 20 June 2011. There are various versions of semi-Salic law also, although in all forms women do not succeed by application of the same kind of primogeniture as was in effect among males in the family. Rather, the female who is nearest in kinship to the last male monarch of the family inherits, even if another female agnate of the dynasty is senior by primogeniture. Among sisters, the elder are preferred to the younger. In reckoning consanguinity or proximity of blood, the dynasty's house law defines who among female relatives is nearest to the last male. Uterine primogeniture. Under uterine primogeniture, succession to the throne or other property is passed to the male most closely related to the previous title holder through female kinship. A male may also inherit a right of succession through a female ancestor or spouse, to the exclusion of any female relative who might be older or of nearer proximity of blood. In such cases, inheritance depends on uterine kinship, so a king would typically be succeeded by his sister's son. This particular system of inheritance applied to the thrones of the Picts of northern Britain and the Etruscans of Italy. Some kingdoms and tribes in Africa follow the same practice. This usage may stem in part from the certainty of the relationship to the previous king and kings. Sons and daughters of a sister are his relations, even if they don't have the same father. Matrilineal primogeniture, or female preference uterine primogeniture, is a form of succession practiced in some societies in which the eldest female child inherits the throne, to the total exclusion of males. The order of succession to the position of the reign queen is an example in an African culture of matrilineal primogeniture. Not only is dynastic descent reckoned through the female line, but only females are eligible to inherit.